everyone, and welcome to Immediate Immersion Live. Don't have my buttons ready, so sorry. There we go. Welcome. Today we're going to talk about MovieTalk. I'm going to show you a quick intro, and then we'll go ahead and get started. If you're watching, go ahead and let me know where you're watching from, and I'll be back with you in just a moment. And we're back, and oops, my things are out of order. There we go. So, how's everybody doing today on this Labor Day? If you are not an American, today is a holiday for us, and most of America goes back to school tomorrow if they're not already back. So today we're going to talk about MovieTalk. I always get lots of questions about MovieTalk, and I love MovieTalk for a variety of reasons, and we'll talk about that. Feel free to put any of your questions in the chat as we go along. I'll do my best to answer them for you, and you can see what we're going to talk about today. What is MovieTalk? How to do MovieTalk? Follow-up activities, and MovieTalk to stories. Hey, Jody. She's in Pennsylvania, and it's dorm duty night, so I will need to be heading over there by 7 p.m. private school, so no holiday for me. Yep. Sorry about that, Jody. Yeah, holiday for me, but this week is going to be a very busy week for me. I think I've got a meeting. Hola, Angelica. She's from Chicago. It's one of my favorite cities in the United States. I have got meetings almost every day this week. I have before and after school duty this week, and then I also have cross-country duty on Thursday. So it's going to be a real busy week for me this week. I don't know why it all happened to end up on the same week, but it is what it is. So first of all, let me talk about what is MovieTalk, and before I get there, I want to bring up this quote from Dr. Hastings. I don't know why I didn't have it ready, but I'll put it right here. And copy. Did it not copy? It did not copy. Hold on. Let's try that again. Control C. And then Control V. Why is it not wanting to copy? Try it one more time. Control C. Maybe I should do a manual. Copy. And then come here and paste. It does not want to do it. Still doesn't want to do it. Let me do it a different way. Bear with me just 1 second, because I want to show this up here because this is important. Let's see, where do I want to put that? New text overlay. Here we go. Here, and sorry, I should have had this prepared. Didn't think about it till just now. And I need the text color to be a different color so it can show up. I'll try it that way. It's not cooperating with me, but I'll go ahead and put that up there. And it's tiny. We will make it bigger. There we go. Okay, so Dr. Hastings is the one who came up with the idea of MovieTalk. And so he said the essential feature of MovieTalk is comprehensible input through narration of interesting movies. As long as this feature remains front and center, I believe MovieTalk will continue to be a productive and enjoyable way to teach languages. So He sent out a letter a couple years ago. He's now retired and his website's no longer available. But he was, let's see, how do I want to say this? He was concerned that many teachers who were using MovieTalk weren't using it the way that he intended it. And his intention was to take an interesting piece of content, whether it be a movie or a video clip, and then narrate that without any goal behind it other than to teach language. And a lot of people went around and started targeting vocabulary. They were looking, oh, I've got to teach family vocabulary. I need a family video. I need to teach colors. Let me go find a color video. And that's what they were kind of doing. And that's what he was trying to avoid. He did not want that to be going on. He wanted to be teaching it more whole language. So it branched off. If you are targeting vocabulary or structures, that is now called clip chat. And I'm not sure who coined that. I think it might have been Dr. Terry Waltz, but I'm not exactly sure who coined that term. What I do is MovieTalk because I don't pick a clip based on trying to teach something. I pick my clips based on what will be entertaining and engaging for my students. And I can use that, and just by speaking language, I can ratchet it for whichever level I need to ratchet it for. So I can use the same video, and depending on the complexity of the language that I want to use, I can gear it towards a level 1 or up to an upper level, whichever I need to at that moment. So in its smallest form, in its most basic form, MovieTalk is a narration of a video clip in comprehensible language so that students can understand and interact with it. Now, as I said, I do mine in the original MovieTalk fashion. I don't have time to do whole movies. Dr. Hastings taught at university, so he had more time to work with all movies. So I don't have that kind of time. I like animated shorts. So I pick animated shorts. I go through YouTube, I search for an animated short, and that's what I choose. I go through, I find some, I add them to my collection. I like to download them. So there's various ways you can download YouTube videos. Just do a Google search to find an app that will work for you. Some are online, some are downloadable apps, some are paid, some are free. I use a paid app on my Mac that works really well. And the reason I do that is twofold. One, videos sometimes disappear off YouTube and I don't have access to them anymore. So that's a problem for me because if I based a whole lesson and I go to play that video on my day and oh no, it's gone, then I'm in trouble. The other is internet connectivity. Sorry, I'm really thirsty all of a sudden today. Internet connectivity. I can't always assure that my classroom internet is going to be up and running to the best that it needs to play YouTube videos. So if I have them locally on my machine, then I don't have to worry about that. If the internet goes down, I can just play them locally and it works out really well for me. So that's how I choose them. And as I said, I choose them based not on language. I choose them based on interest. Another great thing about animated shorts, they usually have a funny punchline at the end of them. And so kids enjoy the little jokes that are in there. And also they generally don't have dialogue. Dialogue is hard to work with, especially if it's not in the language that you're teaching. And it's even more problematic if it's in the language that the kids already know, like their native language. So I like them when they have music and sound effects, but they don't actually have dialogue most of the time, or it's very limited. That's the kind that I like best. Otherwise, you probably have to turn off the sound. And the problem with turning off the sound is they don't hear the sound effects, the music, and other things that go along with that. So I want them to hear all those things, to be part of all of those things. So that's why I like animated shorts. Another thing is I have 45 minutes or less to teach. So they are shorter. They're usually 3 to 5 minutes, sometimes even shorter than that. And even with that, a 3 to 5 minute video, I have at least a 2-week lesson plan with one video. Another thing about MovieTalk, I use MovieTalk as a replacement for asking stories. Not a constant replacement. I do asking stories a lot, but it's kind of to change things up. It's basically the same thing. The only difference is the story is preconceived all the way from beginning to end, and there are no actors. Instead, we have video that uses that gives that visual input from them. But what's great about that is, I just lost my train of thought with that. I completely lost my train of thought. Can someone jog my memory? What was I just saying before I got there? Trying to think. What was my train of thought? I've lost it. Anyway, if it comes back to me, I'll mention it again. So that's, oh, yes, I think I know what I was talking about. So I used to change the game. So we've been doing some asking stories, and I want to go back to do something a little bit different. My kids perceive it differently, although it's really the same thing. I'm asking a story. It's a video format rather than actors. So that is kind of how I do it. I probably do about 4 to 6 of them a school year. I don't do them too much because then they get old, just like anything else that you do too often, the kids get tired of. So I want to change that up a little bit. And so what do? Is I will use a MovieTalk to throw it in there to change things up a little bit. So next, let's talk about how to do MovieTalk. Now, the original way that Dr. Hastings envisioned MovieTalk was to play a video, pause it at the right moment to talk about a scene, rewind it, watch it again, talk about it a little bit more, and go back and forth that way. So you're constantly playing, pausing, rewinding, fast-forwarding. And I find that cumbersome to do in my classroom. I'm not good at the actual timings. Some of you might be able to get to the right spot that you want to get to. I always tend to overshoot things, and then it spoils some things. Plus, I teach middle school. And I don't think it's much different for high school, but I know my middle school kids would get frustrated. I'm showing a video, we watch a few seconds of it, I stop it, I talk about it, I rewind so we can see it again, and then we talk about it, I ask some more questions, and then we go a little forward, and then we stop, and we pause. They get frustrated, they're impatient, they just want me to show the video already. And so that's not the point. The point is not the video is the content. It's the springboard for the comprehensible input, but it's not the be-all, end-all of the lesson. So someone suggested this somewhere. I learned it on Facebook somewhere along the way, and I have used it ever since. I do screenshots. So I will go and watch the video in my lesson planning time, and I look through the video, and I will take screenshots of the video that I want to use of key scenes. And so I'm really bad at this, meaning I have a lot of screenshots. I think one of my favorite ones that I do is Octopi, I think is what it's called, and it's a Greek one. But it's not in language, so it doesn't have any language to it, so it works out well. But it's 2 octopuses that are in an aquarium, and one gets taken out of the aquarium, and there's a whole scenario that goes with it. I think it might be Octopody, I think is what it's called, Octopody. I call it Pulpos Enamorados, in love octopuses, because that's kind of the story that I spring with it. But I think that one I have like 150 screenshots, and I think it's like a 4 or 5 minute video. I use a lot of screenshots, so I can get a full 2-week lesson plan out of it. So once I have my screenshots, then I will open up Google Slides. You can use PowerPoint or Keynote, whatever you're most familiar with. I use Google Slides, and then I will paste one screenshot per slide until I'm finished. Right before the punchline slide, I will then insert the video so that we can watch the video and then see the punchline slide and then talk about it. So they're getting the punchline not in screenshots first. They're first seeing the punchline in video. So my screenshots will go up to the punchline and stop. We'll watch the video in its entirety without interruption, and then I will continue with my screenshots for the punchline and talk about that. Any keywords that my kids will not know that I will need to use to talk about the screenshots, I will put on the slide with the screenshot. So I'll have some vocabulary along the side. I'll have it in the target language plus English. That helps them right away see it, and I don't have to stop and write on the board. Any additional vocabulary that I might have, I will write on the board that might come up. I also will put one generic sentence that describes the scene in the target language. I don't translate that one. I just put it in English there. In the target language there. And it's just a really simple sentence. It's my main sentence that I'm going to be working on with that slide. So I'll be adding details to that sentence. I'll be asking lots of questions about that sentence. That's the one that I'm going to be working really, really hard on. One great technique that I recommend if you don't have a smartboard. I don't have a smartboard. I used to have a smartboard, and when I lost it, I had to find a workaround. I will use an iPad to present this on my screen so that I can use my Apple Pencil or other stylus, and I can write on the slide and erase it for the next class. So it works like a smartboard, but I can project straight from my iPad, and then I can write any extra vocabulary words. I can circle things on the screenshots. I can point to things. We can talk about things, and then I can just wipe it clean without affecting my slides for the next class. So that's a little pro tip for you. So once I have that all lesson planned out, that's my lesson plan. I have the whole story done. Then I go ahead and then I write out the story. So I have a written version of the text. That's one of my follow-up activities. So I'll have a written version of the text. So we have the asking part, the oral part, which is the actual showing of the screenshots and asking questions. And then we're going to have a written text of the story as well so they can see it written out. Then during class time, I'm going to ask the story just as I would with any other story. I just don't have any actors, and the kids can't make up as much about the story because it's what's portrayed on the screen and in the video. So I can ask questions. What color is the octopus? Is the octopus orange or is it pink? What's the octopus's name? How old do you think the octopus is? When you get one of the first scenes is a close-up of the octopuses in water, and you don't know yet that they're in an aquarium. So I ask them, where do you think they are? Do you think they're in the ocean? Do you think they're in a zoo, an aquarium? Where do you think that they are? And then they find out that they are in an aquarium in a fish market. So I can ask all these questions. So I'm asking my scaffolded, differentiated questions. I'm asking some detailed questions. I'm asking some review questions. And I'm asking some comprehension-based questions to see if they're understanding what we're talking about all through this. And it usually takes me 3 to 4 days at least to get through just the slides. And then I will work on the actual written form of the story afterwards. So that's another review of it, but now it's in written text. So we're seeing it in a different version. Some people like to do the written test where they'll make the screenshots and they'll make them much smaller so they can write more text under them. It depends on the level for me. Level 1, I'm more apt to do that. Levels 2 and 3, I'm more apt just to have full text and not have any pictures in there, or maybe just 1 or 2 pictures for the whole text. key pictures that I want to use. So that's how I do the movie talk. The follow-up activities that I do, one of the major ones, as I said, is that text. So I do have the text written out so that we have some literacy skills that we can build with it. But one of the things I like to do before we get to the text part is to have a review game. And it's called the pencil game. And what it is kids will pair up with each other. And you'll have kids share a pencil, one pencil per pairing. And then you ask true and false questions about the story. If the question is true, they're not supposed to do anything. They're supposed to leave the pencil alone. If the answer is false, they want to grab the pencil. And the person who grabbed the pencil first gets the point. If they grab the pencil when it's true, they lose a point. If nobody grabs the pencil, there's nothing gained and nothing lost. And the kids who have the most points at the end of the time will get some sort of a prize. Now, what I love about this game is it really, they've really got to listen, because the instinct is for them to grab it when it's true, but they're only supposed to grab it when it's false. And because you lose points too, it is possible to win with a negative score if you have less negative points than your partner. And I find that sometimes the struggling students end up winning this game because the stronger student always goes for the pencil and gets a lot of negative points. So I like it. It's quick, it's fast, no preparation required. I can do it on the spot, just reviewing it. I can do it after every, the last 5 minutes of every class period, so we can review what we've covered so far. And then once we're done with all the slides, then I will move up into my follow-up activity, which will be that text. You could also, before the text part, you can do another activity where you can take, not all the screenshots, especially if you have 150 of them like I do, but you might take 10 screenshots throughout the story and put them on a piece of paper, maybe 4 to a piece of paper, and then underneath have like 4 or 5 lines where kids can write about what's happening in those pictures in the target language under each picture, kind of like a storyboard. And so if you have, if you do 8 pictures for your whole story, 4 on the front, 4 on the back, that will give them a nice good review before you go ahead then read the text form in there. Another thing I like to do is I pick only 1 or maybe 2 scenes that are action-packed in the video, and I will have kids act them out like a reader's theater. So we'll be reading what's going on, talking about what's going on the slide. The characters will be acting those things out as we go. And it's just 1 or 2 scenes because, again, it gets old if it's every scene, but pick some really action-packed scenes, and that makes it for a fun activity for kids to do. Another fun activity is like a scavenger hunt. So you can either do it in your room, but I have a little bit more room. I have a quad right outside my room. So I put it out in the quad area, and I will cut up maybe 20 sentences that will tell the whole story. So there's 20 sentences. I hide them around the quad, and then the kids need to, in their groups, hunt for the sentences and then put them in order from beginning to end. And the first team that gets that done will win. So that's another follow-up activity. My kids like to do that. It gets them up and out of their seats. They have to be able to read and reread and reread. And this one I will do after the text part. So we've already done the text. We've done the movie talk part. They've done their own storyboards. We've done the review game. We've read the text together. So they're quite familiar with the story. But now I'm having them go outside. They're finding the story strips. If I have 5 groups that I'm going to have 20 strips, I have a total of 100, 5 times 20. I have 5 of each one. And they're not all hidden in the same spots. So the kids need to go find them, make sure they don't have any duplicates. You can't do the duplicates. They can't steal them or hide them from the other teammates. And then they put them together on a piece of paper and they glue stick them on in the order that they want. And then they come to me with the final product and we check to see who's got it in the best order first. What's great about this is they're rereading and rereading and rereading. So if they need to check before they bring it to me, because I only let them bring it to me twice. So if they've already brought it to me twice and it's not right, then they're disqualified. So I want them to keep reading. So they're going to read the big text over and over again to make sure they have everything in order. And it makes for just a fun activity for kids. Does anybody have any questions about how I do movie talk or any follow-up activities? Do you guys do it the same way? Do you have any different follow-up activities that you use that you want to share in the comments? I'd love to hear what you are thinking. Angela says, I use quizzes or Blooket to ask questions. Awesome. That's another way to do some review. I have done either Kahoot or what's the other one I use? Gimkit. I've done that as well. So that works. And sometimes if it's a popular enough video clip, you can already find some of these already created. I've not used quizzes, and I just heard about Blooket. Or I've heard of it, but I haven't really investigated it until just recently. And I think I'm going to try it with one of my classes in the next week or 2 as a review for them before they have their quiz. So those are always great. Plus, you can also, I don't really prescribe to the homework idea, but if you need to give homework, these are some good review things that are a little fun for kids to use. Another follow-up activity that you can do as well is from those pictures that you printed out for them, the 4 on each side, they can actually retell the story to a family member. That's another activity that they could do with that. You can also have them do that in class as partner work to retell it to a different person. Or even if it's not to a person, some kids get really shy with that. You can use a stuffed animal. They can talk to their pencil. They can talk to the wall, the drinking fountain, the cupboard, whatever. That's also possible with those. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about then is, and the last thing, is movie talk to stories. For many beginning CI teachers, asking stories can be really intimidating. Even with a script, a lot can go awry if you're not experienced. Kids can take you so far off your script, you don't know where you want to go. sometimes you get frustrated or flustered is the better word. As you're going through, you can't keep all the details in your head accurate. So a lot of different things are going on, and you got to keep a lot of balls in the air at the same time while classroom management, while engage management is all going on. And for some, it's really difficult to do. So what's great about movie talks is they're kind of like training wheels. You can use them to practice the art of asking a story. And some of those balls don't need to be in the air anymore because it's already a pre-written story. You just have to talk about the screenshots, so you don't have to think about or remember the details, because they're not going to be constantly changing. They are there on the screen for you. So it's a great training wheels for asking stories until you become more comfortable doing so. And so maybe in the beginning of your CI journey, you're doing movie talks week after week after week after week, which is perfectly acceptable. And then you're feeling a little comfortable, so you might want to do one regular story asking for a bit. And then go back to your movie talks. And then you might do 2 story askings before you go back to your movie talks. And then next time you might go 3, so that you're working it more, and eventually you get to a more healthy ratio of less movie talks and more story asking. And the reason you want a little bit more story asking is kids tend to be a little bit more engaged when they can add their own input into the story. And with movie talk, since the story is pretty much fixed, there's not much the kids can add to it to make it their own. They're a little bit less engaging than when they are actually co-creating a story with you. So it's a great way to scaffold that for you as a teacher. It wasn't an idea when I started doing this 20 years ago. We hadn't heard of this at all. So it wasn't something that we could do. We really had to go cold turkey and go right into doing our story asking. Some of us worked with more detailed scripts than others. But we all had our process that we went through. But the movie talk is a really, really good way to scaffold the story asking part, lowering the stress for the teacher. And it's really engaging for your special needs students because it is so visual. They've got such great pictures there with the screenshots. And then the video is like a little reward towards the end. They made it through. And you can find lots of different videos. And I'm going to move my screen and share screen with you just a moment here. Let me go. I'm going to show you a couple of them that I have. So we're not seeing anything just yet. I need to open up my screen share here. Bear with me a moment. Okay, let me share that screen. And this does not want to cooperate with me. Let's see here. Sorry for the technical difficulties. Let's see. Okay, so you should be seeing a list of different movie talks right here. I'm not going to show them all. I'll show a couple of them so you can see. One of this is a good one. Alma, especially at the Halloween time, is a good one. But it's a 5-minute video, so I'm not going to show the whole thing. And as you can see, it's a doll that looks just like the person. This store kind of makes the girl want to come into the store, and she turns into the doll, and then a new doll pops up trying to lure another child in. So it's kind of a scary one. My kids like that one. Another one, oh, Blind Luck is a good one.
Virgin Media Shorts, championing undiscovered talent.
Matthew?
David?
And this one is about the blind man gets a scratcher type lottery ticket, and he actually wins, but the kid behind the counter tells him that he didn't win and steals the ticket from him. And just when he's about to grab the ticket, the blind man grabs the ticket and tears it up because it was a loser. And then the kid's like, ah! And it brings up some great conversations we have about honesty and integrity. So that's a funny one. Car Park is another short, funny one. In that one, he keeps teasing the dog, and then the dog figures out how to open the window, the electronic window. And now the guy's getting scared, but he can't find his car. He's at the wrong car. He breaks into this other car, which is right across the way, to get in. He hotwires the car to drive away, to get away from the dog. And then at the end, we realize there's an even bigger, more ferocious dog in the backseat of that car. Let's see, another good, funny one. Commercials is another, other than animated shorts, like Super Bowl commercials are great ones. Here's one from Doritos.
Nope.
So it's a quick, funny one. You can search up the Super Bowl commercials to find some in there. Here's one that's funny. It's about a Japanese cook. So this one's kind of funny. We can talk about it. It's got some Japanese culture in there. There's that famous painting in the background. So there's lots of different things you can talk about with all those. So those are just some examples of different... just lost my place here. Some examples of some different ones that you can use in your classrooms. As I said, going and searching through animated shorts, Super Bowl commercials, or other commercials can also often lead to some great content that you can use. Does anybody have any questions or comments before I let you guys go? I hope you learned some things and got some new ideas. If you have anything you'd like to share, please do so. I think next week we are going to either be talking about, haven't made my choice just yet, but either songs or games. That'll be next week's topic if you're interested. Same time, same channel. And if no one has any questions or comments or any ideas, I will let everybody go and enjoy the rest of their Labor Day. And if you haven't started back, tomorrow's your first day. I wish you a great first day. We've already been back for a month now. So I wish everybody a great week, great Labor Day, and a great start to the new year. And I hope to see you next week. Goodbye, everybody.